This week, grab your bicycle and give cars a well-deserved middle finger in a worldwide initiative to cut emissions, get outside, move your ass, and interact with your city and people. Next, let's talk Syria and why their story could so easily be ours. I'll give you a hint: climate change. Finally, peace in the Middle East might not be a reality, but the Iran deal could be, thanks to the tireless work of activists like Alli McCracken, director of Code Pink. And speaking of war and peace, let's kick off this week by meeting these unknown, unwilling soldiers. On a jungle wall, an embittered scrawl, these words shouted out to the fall, to the few, the proud, the be all you can be. We are the unwilling, led by the unqualified, doing the unnecessary for the ungrateful. On black granite walls, a solemn attempt to shadow contempt, to polish the pride, tarnished by lies and the young ones who died. Line after line, name after name, each story different yet too much the same. The unfortunate sons, grieving fathers, mothers, brothers, wives, taking turns reflecting their own tortured eyes in polished lines of too many chosen ones. A thank you for serving, salute the deserving, a nation sick from the swerving, from pro-war to no war, but peace is graffiti. No number of treaties can quiet the pain of lives and minds maimed. Over there, over here, what happens in war never stays there. Homecomings marred by the lives that you scarred, and that's yours too. The battles you wage, not much better with age. Fuck, just look at the state of the tattered VA. Like its patience, a strong, proud facade hiding years of dysfunction and loss, the cost of new wars, the obedient scores brought home in boarded up coffins. First on the list, new bombs and enemies. We'll get to your needs if there's money, if there's time. Once we sign all these checks, subjecting a new wave of broken bodies, broken minds to join you at the end of the line. That's why we can't see you today. That's why you're fine despite what you say. No, we don't want to turn you away. But now that you're hurt, you're kind of just in the way. There's profit and pain, but if it's assuaged, the bottom line cracks with the weight of cleaning the mess that we made. We can set off a bomb with a flick of a wrist, but in the acrid smoke, if you want to undo, there's nothing you can do. And here, this broken man sitting, each exhale a tear at the seams clearly splitting. How do you put this human back together again? How do you undo the unnecessary? Where does logic hide in a minefield of stupid decisions, historic revisions, uniforms soaked in blood and derision? Where do you find peace in an endless war? How do we end this war when soldiers are paid not to kill evil, but to clear some more space for its eager death dealers to spread out and claim more land and lives, because this is the why. More wars are waged. Dollars over cents, killer over mensch, from old men to young women, exporting death, importing hate. The lines at the VA growing like tumors in Agent Orange consumers. Monsanto to Halliburton, from Saigon to the Iron Curtain. Our worship of killing machines and Hollywood battle scenes has made us lose track of this simple fact. A human is not a pawn nor a fodder for cannons or rich men who like playing God. Willing to defend is not always willing to die. A fight for one's country, not a fight for its lies. A cry for help and a wound that you sanctioned. Answered with shrugs, a salute, and small pension. On a jungle wall, an embittered scrawl, these words shouted out to the fall. To the few, the proud, the be all you can be. We are the unwilling, led by the unqualified, doing the unnecessary for the ungrateful. And on black granite walls, a solemn attempt to shadow contempt, to polish the pride, tarnished by lies and the young ones who died, line after line, name after name, each story different yet too much the same. And 150 years past, a scholar's line about a war that was different yet too much the same.
This year and for the next couple of years, we will be commemorating the 150th anniversary of the American Civil War. And we should honor those men who died for their respective causes. But it would have been a greater tribute to our nation had they lived.
From tweets to marching in the streets, this is Act Out. Hello everyone, welcome to Act Out. I'm Eleanor Goldfield and this is your tipping point, and your biking point. And that's how I roll, from really heavy fucking poetry to lighthearted horns. And despite these horns, I'm actually here to talk about France, not Sweden, although I will say, biking is one hell of a beautiful way to see Sweden. But I digress. As you may recall from previous episodes, France drops the mic on us pretty fucking often. Whether it's rooftop gardens or outlawing water shutoffs, France really seems to be making some serious strides in the name of common sense and common good. And here's yet another one. On September 27th, Paris will echo with the sound of bike chains and bike bells as the city transformed into Biketopia. For one full day, no cars will be allowed on the streets of Paris, making room for bikes and pedestrians only. And this initiative is also part of a larger attempt to cut down on emissions and decongest streets through monetary incentives. Yep, several companies have signed on to pay their workers 25 euro cents per kilometer, sort of like a mile, but metric, that they bike to work instead of drive. Now, this might sound like a whatever big fucking deal situation, but this mentality is not only central to Paris. Even famously bike and pedestrian unfriendly cities like LA have embraced bike-only events dubbed Ciclavia, a name taken from the same type of event in Bogota, Colombia, where car-free days have been an ongoing occasion for more than a decade. Other U.S. cities, such as Chicago and Seattle, also have bike days, and the car-free day in Europe is now practically an institution. The car-free day began as an experiment in 1995, and by 2000 became an EU-wide initiative that's now celebrated continent-wide, from Reykjavik to Bath, La Rochelle to Brussels and beyond. Mexico City, Montreal, and Ho Chi Minh City are a few others. And Jakarta joined the Fuck Cars initiative and now celebrates car-free mornings every Sunday. This push to cut back on pollution, move your ass a bit, and come into contact with humans in the city is clearly contagious. And this matters. Yes, it's not going to solve all the world's problems, but for fuck's sake, not one act will. If we were only to take action knowing that the action that we're taking would change the entire course of corporate Death Star, fuck, we would all just sit around staring at each other. But by living more consciously and deciding to push for a cleaner, healthier future, thousands and millions of people can, will, and do make a difference. And you have to take me seriously, even though I'm wearing this helmet. The hardest thing to do as an activist is to get more people to open their fucking eyes, and a car-free day is one fun way to do it. Think globally, act locally. Like a nonprofit environmental activist group in Paris said, our city has to establish an exemplary signal responding to global issues, but it also has to respond to local issues after record peaks of pollution and climate challenges that are more than ever at the heart of everyday life. The car-free day, by its magnitude, will also leave a lasting mark on the collective imagination. Everyone can project a city more livable, adopt sustainable behaviors, particularly in terms of mobility and the sharing of public spaces. Carbusters, the online journal dedicated to a car-free future, is one of the organizations credited with building the car-free day movement through education and advocacy. If you take a look at their site, there's no shortage of information and avenues for action. So, does your city have a car-free day? No? Well, maybe you should get that ball or bike rolling. And remember, safety and fun first. Now, speaking of climate change, let's talk about Syria. It's not a connection that you might have considered before taking a look at this graphic. Audrey Quinn and Jackie Roche created a visual representation of the backstory to the Syrian conflict. And it's not something often considered or really widely talked about, even nominally talked about. This graphic suggests that what led to the uprising, which in turn led to Bashar al-Assad's retaliation, wasn't just Arab Spring fever, it was climate change. Between 2006 and 2011, Syria suffered under immense drought, causing a mass exodus from rural areas to urban areas in search of work, food, and survival. Combine this with al-Assad's twisted response to the drought, i.e. handing out water rights to political pals while centuries-old farms withered away, and you have a textbook foundation for an uprising. Now, there are several more informational gems in this graphic, so be sure to check out our Facebook page in order to get a link to this graphic. And trust me, you'll be damn happy that you did. It's eye-opening, powerful, and sinks to the depths of your psyche in less than 5 minutes, depending on how fast you read. Seriously though, look at it. And here's why I'm so insistent on this. Not only will it take you less than 5 minutes to learn the backstory to part of the greatest refugee crisis since World War II, but It will also allow you to easily place yourself in the roles of these refugees. This isn't just another country that fell apart because of an unstable, fractured government or rampant warlords. No. In fact, as Laura Satrakian, founder of Syria Deeply, explains, before the revolution, Syria was a quote-unquote calm, stable, culturally rich, and very beautiful place. However, she adds, it was also a thick police state where you could hardly even whisper a word against the ruling regime. Are you following me on this one? What other country do you know of that's currently experiencing the effects of climate change while simultaneously exhibiting several key attributes of a police state? And before you trolls go about suggesting that I have my throat slit or be raped or whatever for comparing the US to Syria, understand me, which you probably won't because you're a troll, but whatever. We're a country with little tolerance for dissent, from free speech zones to activists behind bars and whistleblowers hiding in embassies in the Russian tundra. It is not hard to conceive of a time when widespread storms, drought, flooding, heat, and food shortages will push people to demand change. And our current system has only one way of responding to that sort of push, and that's to push back violently. I have received 3 emails from 3 separate old German men saying that what's happening in this country right now reminds them of the rise of the Nazis in the 30s. The fucking Nazis. Now, is the sky falling yet? Well, not for us, but for Syria it is. And we have a fucking moral obligation to do something about. If you want to do something about it, not just for humanity's sake, do it because you realize that you too might soon be kicking dust on a dirt road wondering how the fuck to make ends meet, being pushed into crowded urban spaces and told to stay in line or else, while your government does nothing to help you. So, how can we help that version of you thousands of miles away? Well, here are 2 ways. First up, the Migrant Offshore Aid Station. Here's the gist. Last year, the EU cut its search and rescue budget in the Mediterranean by 2/3. Problem is, more and more people are crossing in search of safety, so inevitably, this year the death toll of those attempting the passage is 3 times higher. The Migrant Offshore Aid Station is a privately funded search and rescue operation, basically all put together by one couple, Christopher and Regina Catrambone. They have spent more than $8 million putting together the necessary tools and crew to take on this work, and most recently, they have also teamed up with Doctors Without Borders. Their work is incredible and sorely needed right now, as evidenced by the most recent pictures of refugees washing up on beaches. And you can learn more and donate by visiting their site, moas.eu. Next, on charity donation site Just Giving, a page has been created in the name of Aylan Kurdi, the boy whose image has become a powerful and soul-wrenching display of this crisis. The page in his name is taking donations for Hand in Hand for Syria, an organization that works within Syria's borders with 100% of proceeds going directly to those in need inside of Syria. If money isn't something you can give, several sites are looking for stuff. Refugee Action is accepting old car donations, mobile phones, and printer cartridges that can be sold for cash to help refugees. They also have a long list of ways to engage in digital activism for the cause. You can also volunteer with the International Rescue Committee in one of their 22 offices or indeed online. And while you're online, shoot out the hashtag #RefugeesWelcome. Post, tweet, and share. And these are but a few of the ways to help. There are more out there. From refugee versions of Airbnbs in Germany to supply and support in the Calais jungles, aka refugee camps, where refugees can sit stranded without proper care or supplies. And want to see more than what I had time to dish out? Well, my dear friends, Google that shit. Now, from war-torn to stopping more war, a huge congrats to all of those who worked tirelessly in support of the Iran deal, especially you, little man, and tipped the scale so that now there are enough votes in the Senate to secure the deal. However, story ain't over until it's over, and peace in the Middle East is not exactly around the corner. As I mentioned last week, Congress's first day back was yesterday, September 8th, and while Code Pink had originally planned an event calling for support of the Iran deal, with enough senators checked off their list, they shifted their energies to Dick Cheney. A little late, isn't it? Well, you'd think so. But there's nothing like 2-term-old war criminal to liven up a Tuesday morning. Yep, Cheney is still getting top billing from the likes of American Enterprise Institute. It's an organization that bills itself as committed to expanding liberty, increasing individual opportunity, and strengthening free enterprise. Fuck me. That sounds like Ayn Rand and the Koch brothers' wet dream love child. So, it would make sense that a fuckstick organization like this one would invite a sociopathic war criminal to talk to them about national security. And not one to miss a Tuesday morning party, Code Pink decided to join in. They're also joining in today at a Ted Cruz/Donald Trump rally at 1 p.m., and tomorrow they'll be holding an all-day vigil outside the Longworth House building in support of the deal. Again, it's not over yet, and we still need continued pressure put on our members of Congress. You can plug into this peacekeeping work via codepink.org and get some insight into more of what they do from the director herself, Alli McCracken. At the Peace Picnic last week, I was able to steal Alli away from the festivities for a few minutes to talk about Code Pink, peace deals, and creative activism. Take a look. So you have a lot of projects and a lot of different creative endeavors going on, and you definitely are a creative activist. So talk a little bit about the different projects that you have going on.
Sure. Well, at Code Pink, we like to be creative about our actions, not only to get our point across, but to get people to join us. So we like to do serious stuff all the time. We lobby, we go to meetings, but those are things that are really boring, that doesn't attract a lot of people, and there are plenty of organizations doing that work already. So we do lots of fun stuff. Today we've got a picnic for peace. There's a few hundred people there I'm really excited about. We've done hula hooping for peace, swing dancing for peace, but we also do some more like unconventional lobbying where we do sit-ins, sing-alongs in congressional offices, things that are bright and bold and in your face. We've dressed up like constitutionalists, like, you know, colonial characters. We've dressed up like congressional cleaning crews in maid outfits. And you'd be surprised at how many people will laugh and join us and come and talk to us. You know, it's very, well, I should say, one of our mottos is charm and disarm. So it's this idea of like winning people over in a very disarming way, but talking about a very serious issue at the same time.
And that's a good segue, too, because I am curious what people like you that are creative activists and obviously do this shit every day and are always looking for more interesting, engaging ways, but also intense ways of making change. What do you say to people that are just like, well, I'm not really political, or I wouldn't be good at that, or I don't really care about all that stuff?
That's like the eternal quest to get people to care. You know, that's why we do lots of different kinds of things. Like, for example, at this peace picnic, I have about 10 friends who are here who have never done anything political in their lives. And I couldn't get them to come to a protest. I probably couldn't get them to come to a hearing or a meeting, even if it was super interesting. But I said, hey, why don't you come to a picnic for peace with me? And they said, okay, yeah, I can get on board with that. So it's really about couching things in a way that meets people where they're at and not where you want them to be at, and then kind of pulling them over and making it really fun and not scary. And you know, and not all protesting means equals arrests. And a lot of people have that misconception that if you get out there, you're an angry rabble-rouser and you're just going to get hauled away in handcuffs, and that's not always the case.
So speaking of that, what was your own journey? Were you creative first and then you found activism, or how did you get to where you are now?
Well, I graduated from college and spent 6 months in Palestine, which really politically radicalized me, taught me a lot about the way the United States is viewed in other parts of the world, especially the Middle East. I came back, got an internship with Code Pink, and then became super political. So that came first, and Code Pink taught me a lot about street theater, creative activism, the sort of stuff we've been talking about. But a couple years ago, I actually moved into an artist collective, and I've been living with these really creative people. Not all of them are political, but they give me lots of different elements, ideas. I live with photographers and painters and actors and hippies, you know, and really cool people who don't necessarily know a lot about the issues, but have different ways of looking at things. And that's been really cool, and I appreciate that.
So part of your job as director is to come up with these, you know, like hula hooping for peace and things like that. So where do you get your inspiration for these actions from?
You know, we just like sit around and just like start spitballing ideas. Usually we try to bring a few people in because, you know, more minds equals more ideas. And I'll give you an example. Ted Cruz and Donald Trump are having this rally on Thursday to counter the Iran deal, right? So we sat down, we're like, what can we do that is going to be like hysterical and call them out on it? And we haven't come up with an idea, but we're like, all right, we could be doctors giving a prescription for peace, or we could be like, you know, the peace constitutionalists again, or peace poets, and we're trying to come up with costumes that would be funny, But we also don't want to be too funny. We were like, oh, we could be cooks serving peace, and I don't know what we're gonna do yet. We're probably gonna like put up balloons above everyone's head or something like that. But we just sit around and we come up with these ideas. And I think what's really important for other people to know is if you take the craziest, most unrealistic idea you can come up with and just play with that, that's usually when you come up with your best, most radical, fun, shocking, edgy, but cool and fun. I said fun twice because it's really fun. Yeah, it's double the fun. But yeah, I mean, if someone says something and you're like, whoa, that was way too much, just don't say no. Don't say no.
Just roll with it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we do.
Talk a little about what you're going to be doing specifically for the Iran deal in that span.
That is an excellent question. So when Congress gets back from August recess, they have between, like you said, the 8th and the 17th to vote on whether or not they disapprove of the deal. So we want them to not disapprove the deal. AIPAC, the Israel lobby, has a fly-in day on September 8th where they've got hundreds, if not 1,000 people coming in to lobby on Capitol Hill. So we've been putting out the call for people to join us in D.C. We've got a housing board set up. Email me. And so we want people to come and show that there is public support for the deal. We're going to kick off a week of actions with an event, a protest outside of an event Dick Cheney's speaking at. It's totally like mind-boggling to me and my colleagues at Code Pink that Dick Cheney, the guy who led us into this failed war in Iraq, I don't even need to explain it to you, is actually giving political advice on Iran. Of course, he is against the deal, and so he is being... I can't even believe he's being consulted and is considered a legitimate source. It's ridiculous. So anyways, we are like so excited to protest him. We'll be out there at 8:30 in the morning on the 8th. And then from there, we're going to have a press conference at the Capitol. There's a woman named Sarah Shord who is a hostage in an Iranian prison. She's an American journalist. She was one of the hikers who was kept hostage in Iran for over 400 days. She actually supports this deal and has been very vocal. So we're going to be having a big press conference with her outside of the Capitol building. And then we're going to be doing some extreme lobbying, Code Pink style. And then we'll just be in Congress every single day. We're probably going to set up this encampment outside. We're not sure. It depends because we've been getting some good news about the deal actually maybe getting passed quickly, but maybe not. It's like still on the fence. We don't know, but we're not going to take any chances. And so we're probably going to set up this camp. Everyone is encouraged to join us. We'll be there. We'll have lobby trainings. We'll have civil disobedience trainings, media trainings, and then we'll have folks doing all those things. And we'll have the press come and, join us and interview people who care about peace and want to see this deal go through.
That's so awesome. I want to do that.
Yeah,
I know. And if that sounds fun to you as well, go to codepink.org. And what is your email address?
It's Alli, ALLI, @codepink.org.
Okay, well, that's easy enough. Is there anything else that you want people to know about right now?
Well, right now, this deal may or may not go through. We need all hands on deck, like absolutely all hands on deck. The Obama administration has said, if this deal does not go through, the alternative is war. The United States is, we were on a conference call with a guy from the Obama administration who said that if this deal does not go through, we will have to resort to regime subjugation and change. So this is the real deal, folks. We really need people out for this. We stopped a war with Syria. We can stop a war with Iran, and we're counting on all of you.
Well, that's the best fucking ending plug I've ever heard. So thank you so much for joining us outside the White House, outside the picnic. And yeah, that's that. And while Code Pink can breathe a slight sigh of relief, the fight for peace continues. Be sure to stay up to date on our Facebook page for more information and coverage of their work. Also, of course, follow Code Pink on Facebook and Twitter. And that about does it for today's show. Please spread and share this episode and show with all of your friends, foes, and people you don't know. As always, check out the last slide to see all the sites that I mentioned in the show. There will also be a link to help support Occupy.com and the delicious dissent delivered daily thanks to donations like yours. It is a 501c3, so anything that you can contribute is tax deductible and hugely appreciated. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and subscribe on YouTube. From the Devil's Den, good night and act out.